What is good, everyone? Welcome to a podcast of four fans. Four fans. This is the Forecast Philippines. I am Mark. I am your PR boy. Next door with me is the real deal, JV.
Let's get it.
The back-to-back Rookie of the Year, Frankie J.
Sheesh.
And last but not the least, he is the human internet troll, the one, the only, Manzano.
Yo, yo, yo.
Dumami na naman yung yo. Um, we're back for another episode talking about basketball, our favorite sport, and everything about it. Today's episode in particular is kind of dedicated to players who we watched growing up in our early days as a fan, young teenagers, mid 2000s, late 2000s. We'll talk about them. But first, if you're new to this podcast or if you've seen a few of it before, a few clips from it before, then please do follow us, subscribe to us on all our channels on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. That's the Forecast PH. So please show us some love, follow us, subscribe, lahat na, ring notification bell, follow us personally. Go ahead. But on to very important, I wouldn't say news, but this episode is actually a first, guys. First time natin magkaroon ng sponsor. Can you believe it?
No.
Our first sponsor. No,
Okay.
but believe it, guys, because this episode is sponsored by Skippy's Spirits. Oh, let's show it to the camera.
Guys, we made it.
We made it. Skippy's
Bawas na yung sa
Spirits.
akin.
Oh, basta yung kay JV. So Skippy
Ay.
Spirits is the best place to get all your cocktail mixes here in Metro Manila. So you could get squiffy. Yes, get squiffy and follow Skippy's Spirits on Instagram. That's at Skippy's_spirits. Ayan. Manzano, anything you want to add about Skippy Spirits?
Yo, man, you gotta support local, especially in this time of pandemic, supporting all the upstart, up and coming local businesses. Keep spirits, 100% local support.
Yan.
Yeah, can I add something as well?
Yeah,
Go
sure,
ahead.
sure.
So our hot takes may or may not be influenced by Skippy Spirits. So
Yes.
just wait for that later. And you can decide amongst yourself if you think these hot takes are influenced by the delicious cocktails from Skippy Spirits.
Yes, if we still make sense or not,
True.
we're all enjoying these Skippy's Spirits because I have Pochi over here. It's really good and Mojito. Yung Mojito baka tonight na lang to pero I've tasted it. It's great. What are you guys having? JV, ano yung kinuha mo?
Mark, parang parehong-pareho yung kinuha natin ah.
Ganun ba? Pero yung sa'yo, paubos na.
Paubos na. Ito itong mule. Yeah. Ito mo
Mule.
kaya pag naubos na itong pochi. So,
Frankie J.
and honestly guys, parang syempre nag-taste test kami bago mag-sponsor and talagang
Yeah.
masarap talaga. So that's
I
why we
can't do
agreed.
the makeup thing. All right, so I got
Frankie
Mule.
J with the blogger.
Yeah,
The
I got
blogger
Mule,
moves.
and I also have Mojito downstairs, which probably will down after this podcast, or as I think
Yes.
about Manzano's takes for this podcast.
Let's
But
see.
yeah,
You may need it.
I
You may
just
need it.
I just actually took my first sip live, and I was actually really astounded by the taste. And it doesn't actually taste like alcohol, which is kind of dangerous, but that's the point.
Sobra.
There's
Sobra.
relics.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, please do try Skippy Spirits. And you could just follow Skippy Spirits on IG, Skippy's_spirits. Follow us, the Forecast PH, and message Skippy Spirits. And if you message that you've listened to the Forecast episode, then I think we have something special for you. So check it out. All right,
Check it
Skippy
out.
Sorry, just
Spirits.
one
Thank
last
you so
thing.
much
So Skippy
for
Spirit
being.
is actually sponsoring our Zoom call. So
Yes,
this is the first
also
time we have
Unli
the premium Zoom.
for the first
So thank
time.
you, Skippy Spirit.
Grabe,
Sorry,
iba
sorry,
talaga
Mark.
ang
Go ahead.
support. Iba talaga ang support of Skippy Spirits. And yan, so you guys please support them as well because they support this podcast. All right, guys, let's head on to our topics. Now, we're going to talk about players who we grew up watching, idolizing. So, for the first question, without further ado, who is greater? Is it Kobe Bryant, rest in peace,
Mhm.
or is it his contemporary, one of the legends in
Ah,
the game, Tim Duncan?
hirap
Hmm.
pa.
It's a it's a very contentious topic. It's nothing new because they both retired at the same time. They both got inducted to the Hall of Fame at the same class, and they're contemporaries. They've played with each other for decades. So I want to ask you guys, who wants to start it off? Who's greater? Is it Kobe Bryant or is it Tim Duncan?
I can start.
Let's
I
do
can
it.
start.
All right, go ahead,
Yeah.
Frankie J.
So I was really surprised by this question because it seems to me um it's a no-brainer. Of course, I'll go with Kobe. I think being great doesn't necessarily have to be within the stat line or within the stat line of the player. So obviously, both of them are Hall of Famers. Arguably, well, for Kobe, arguably arguably the best shooting guard of all time, and for Tim Duncan, it's basically a no-brainer for him as well that he's the greatest power forward of all time. Well, that's in my opinion. But if you compare these different types of players with each other, um, obviously Kobe for me is the greater player, not just because of his stats, but also because of the moments he gave basketball. The contributions that he gave to the sport of basketball, just so much more than as I mentioned, the stat line that he showed, and everything. But his dedication to the sport, his Mamba mentality, which is basically with a lot of NBA players right now, not just the NBA, a lot of players who play the sport right now. It's basically referenced as something that it's kind of a mentality of working hard, not giving up, you know. But I think that's a main reason why I chose Kobe, and his influence is basically seen in players throughout the sport. So we have Devin Booker, we have of course we have Jason Tatum, and we have of course Giannis. We have players even in WNBA. We have Sabrina Ionescu, and also players from the international stage as well. And everyone knows Kobe. A lot of people play like him, and a lot of people still want to play like him and be like him, and a lot of people study him. The same way Jordan influenced that a particular generation of NBA players as well. For Tim Duncan, he really stuck with the fundamentals, as we call him, the big fundamental. But I think his greatness is really just the consistency that he played at, and his of course his stat line, how he dominated the power forward position, how he led that position, into being considered as the greatest of all time for the power forward position. But I think, as I mentioned earlier, being great is way more than what the stat line shows throughout the Hall of Fame career of these two um these two NBA players.
All right. You know what? Whether
Fair take. Fair take.
whichever way we go with this, I think people won't get mad, or that mad at least.
Ang
All
safe
right.
ng comments na yun, Mark.
Safe,
May
no?
sasabihin ka ba? May sasabihin ka ba?
No, no. So Frankie J went with Kobe. Anyone here who is going with Duncan, so we can like alternate? JV, who are you picking?
Okay, I think yung fans naman ng forecast is very familiar na Kobe people tayo. Like, through and through, siya yung like idol natin growing up. Right? Unanimous naman yun siguro. But I think I have to speak with some sort of objectivity ngayon
Uh-huh.
na in terms of like head-to-head comparisons, medyo mas malaki talaga yung weight ni Tim Duncan over Kobe. Okay? So, sabihin natin, hindi na natin papansinin na si Tim Duncan mas madaming finals MVP. Si Tim Duncan mas madaming NBA MVP, right? Huwag natin pansinin
Yep.
yun. I think yung pinaka, like, what speaks of his greatness is he was able to consistently lead San Antonio for a very long time na San Antonio kahit gaano sila katanda na and lagi yun yung point against them. Parang every single year they prove people wrong and show really competition dominance and really a standard bearer of the NBA. And in fact, si Tim Duncan never missed an NBA playoffs. Tama. Yeah.
In his
Never missed an
career.
NBA. Yeah. Which really speaks volumes na kahit sinong kasama niya, like, very, para siya walking playoff um, player. Na parang, pag nandun siya, sure na mag-playoffs na agad yung team nyo. And kahit playoffs lang, we take it for granted kasi every year naman may mag-playoffs and like may 16 teams lagi. But at the same time, we have to think rin na in the NBA, it's really hard to even win a single game, let alone like get in the let alone get to the top 8 of a conference. So, ang masasabi ko lang kay Kobe is, yes, greater siya like outside basketball, but that speaks more of his marketability as a player na
Mhm.
since yung LA is parang Hollywood, may lagi narrative. And si Tim Duncan, hindi siya maiisip as great kasi, alam mo, quiet siya, stoic. Like,
Yeah.
no emotion. Like, yun yung brand niya. So, yeah, I think if we go by that, parang, ang laki ng nagawa ni Tim Duncan in the game of basketball.
Okay. How about I want to hear from the internet troll, the human internet troll. Manza,
Oh,
I don't
eh.
know.
Ang daming nod eh. Parang,
I don't know, Mark.
nag-iipon eh.
Can you guess who I'm gonna choose? I don't know. But anyway,
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan, no? Kasi gray. Pero anyway, I would have to both agree with Frankie J and JV. First of all, agreeing with Frankie J that it is an easy choice, and that easy choice is Kobe. With JV, to an extent, I agree that Kobe's greatness comes from outside basketball, but I disagree that that should be discarded. You know, in a way, what you do on court translates to how marketable you are. So I'm gonna keep this brief. Two things why Kobe is greater than Tim Duncan, and I'm gonna challenge Mark that this won't anger anyone. So I'll try to anger some people here. So one, Kobe is greater than Duncan, cause and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Tim Duncan even has a shoe line. That just speaks to the marketability and or lack of, and everyone knows the Kobe series. Okay, objective, subjective, I don't know. Tell me. And the second point that's gonna make people angry, even the guy who agreed with me in Frankie J. There's one knock on Tim Duncan's career. I don't know if you spot it. You keep saying JV, he makes it to the playoffs. He's Finals MVP, he's an NBA regular season MVP. There's one knock on Tim Duncan. Can
Ano?
you tell me what it is?
He lost
Fashion
to
sense.
LeBron.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He lost to
The one
LeBron.
knock, the one knock on Tim Duncan's career. He was the captain of the shameful 2004 USA basketball team that won one bronze. And mind you, they didn't just lose in the semis; they lost twice in the group play tournament, group play stage as well. And every player on that team should be ashamed of themselves. A team that includes, and Frankie J knows this, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade.
I'ma just
Tim Duncan, how could you win bronze as a captain when you have the so-called GOAT Miami Heat players in Dwayne Wade and
Bro.
LeBron James?
I'ma
Bro.
just say, ginamit mo na yung team na yan to support
Bro.
yung case mo for Larry Brown. I'ma just say.
Oh, I know. Some episodes
Bro.
back.
First of
No.
all, just to
What's
take
going
on
on?
point number 2, LeBron, Melo, and D Wade are basically rookies. We're basically rookies at that time.
Yeah, they
So
were. They
Well,
were.
you
I
gotta
thought
chill,
he was
bro. The fact that they made
LeBron is the
the fact that they
chosen
made the
one.
Olympic team at their second year or first year. I don't remember. 2004 is probably yeah,
Second
first or
year. Well,
second
the
year
first
in the
second year.
league. But it speaks volumes of how great they are, and the fact that they dominated the 2008 Olympics. You know, which I think is even better than the Dream Team. That may spark another debate, but it's kind of like a bad take on your end.
Okay.
Using LeBron, Wade, and I'm not. I even you can say Melo, but he was also part of that team.
Yeah, I
You
was
know,
gonna say Melo too, but
and
I
man,
classify.
you agreed with me already. We have the same. We have the same answer, and
Yeah,
you
we're
still
on the
found a
same
Okay.
side.
way to
Okay.
get me out of your side, man.
It's the alcohol.
Okay, no. I will have to agree with you then. To link this to the topic. Okay. 2004 unsuccessful. 2008 successful. What was the difference there? You know what was the difference there?
Support.
2008 had Kobe and did not have Duncan. 2004 did not have Kobe and had Duncan. Hence, Kobe is greater than Duncan.
Wow.
Case closed, Mark. Don't even talk your segment anymore. Let's go to the next topic. It's
That's
case
something that
closed. Oh,
we can probably agree on. Because that's
No
something
bias, no
that's very
bias.
factual.
oh,
Very factual.
Mark, move to the next topic. You don't even have to say your piece. It's
I
case
want to hear
closed.
from Mark. I want to hear from Mark.
I'm
I
just
want
kidding.
to
I'm
hear
just
from
kidding. I'm
Mark,
just
the
kidding.
Spurs
I
fan.
want
The
to hear
Spurs
from
fan.
I'm just kidding. I'm
the
just
Spurs
kidding.
fan.
Well, yeah, everyone knows how much of a Spurs fan, Tim Duncan fan I am. And I will concede that he's not the most exciting, entertaining. He's probably one of the most boring superstars we've ever had. But you can't deny the results, the consistency, and the impact that he's had to the game. So it's not, he's been consistent every single year he's been in the league, offensively and defensively. Probably tapered
True.
off a bit at the end of his career, but he was getting all NBA defensive nods even until his last few years.
Mhm.
So, you know, virtually they're kind of tied. Like they have the same championships, although Tim Duncan does have two MVPs and three finals MVPs. So yun ang
But
lamang niya.
he don't got the gold.
He's got 5 rings. Kobe has 5 rings.
But he don't
Uh
get the gold medal.
the gold medal. He doesn't.
Ouch.
Yeah, he doesn't. But he hasn't but he's been in the playoffs every single year. And that's something. That's something. A big part of why the Spurs are regarded as one of the best franchises and a historic playoff run is because of Tim Duncan. Maybe not so much because of Pop, Manu, and Tony. Yes, it's a perfect storm. It's a perfect mix. But the fact that they were able to stay together for so long and bring success to San Antonio really speaks volumes of why Tim Duncan is great. He was able to sustain the greatness. He was able to, and for me, it shows the maturity. Also, he was able to. He knew when his time was up as the main guy, and when to defer to younger players, when to give them their opportunity to shine. Um, I know that Kobe Bryant has mentored Kawhi, Jason Tatum, Devin Booker after his playing career. But think
Mhm.
about it. I mean, Tim Duncan made superstars and made stars out of talent, out of his
True.
teammates and his coach. So it's not just about making. He was a great player. They're both great players, but Tim Duncan made his teammates better. He made his coaches better,
Parang si
and
Danny Green, no?
yeah, he made Danny Green
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
lots
Yeah.
of. He made him have a
He
big
made that. He
contract.
made Danny Green greater than Steph Curry, right?
I didn't say that. I never said that.
Ooh.
Or are we going to flash back to 2015, 16? But yeah,
Oh.
so that I'm gonna keep it short and just say that um, virtually yes, they're head to head. You can't go wrong with picking either. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of do you want the sexier choice in Kobe, because he did. I mean, he's a culturally more,
Yeah.
I'd say, relevant. Mas mabigat yung
Icon siya
weight.
eh. Mm.
Yes, we concede to that. Or someone who, with the fundamentals, has really made an impact and has really played the game the right way. Team basketball. He is the epitome of how to be a leader, how to evolve through time and just do the work, do his job well. So that's why I'm saying thing. Aside from being a diehard Spurs fan, I'm saying that Tim Duncan is greater. They're both
Right.
great, but maybe Tim Duncan is just a few notches above Kobe in terms of why he's greater. Not saying that
Right.
he's na mas sikat siya kay Kobe or mas grabe yung impact niya sa pop culture or sa sporting world. But if you're talking about greatness on the court, greatness in terms of a legacy, I think he could take that.
Sorry.
So
Can I just
yeah.
retract a statement I made earlier when I was speaking? I know this might be off topic, but I think I mentioned that Tim Duncan didn't have any challenge as the greatest power forward of all time, and I felt like I disrespected a lot of my friends who are Dallas Mavericks fans.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh man.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
so I might have to put I might have to put Tim Duncan is arguably one of the best the greatest power forward of all time, of course, taking into consideration Dirk Nowitzki. But yeah, going back to Tim Duncan, he has all the accolades to be the greatest power forward of all time as well.
You
But
know,
yeah,
you kind of when you think about it, if you're a real diehard fan, even if you're a fan of Kobe or even if you're a fan of the game, you can't help but think, oh nga, no, maybe I will lean towards Duncan. And that's because you appreciate what he's done, even if it's not the noisiest, it's not the flashiest, it's not the most um Hollywood thing or Hollywood choice. But hey, he had a great career and you could choose him over Kobe.
Ramdam ko yung Spurs love dun ah.
Huh?
Ramdam na
Yeah.
ramdam ko yung Spurs love ah.
Konti na lang magsa-Spurs shirt na dapat ako ulit eh. But, I gotta
Pero
mix it up a
ano
bit.
first team naman yung ano mo, suot mo. Black and white.
True.
Plain.
Yun na, yun na.
Boring.
Alright.
Joke lang.
Yeah, it's
But-
boring. It's boring, but it may be boring, but it is
It
great.
gets the job done.
It does. For 21 straight years, at least. for the
Agree.
Spurs. All right. Okay, interesting. So 2-on-2 tayo dun. We had Manzano and Frankie J saying Kobe.
I wouldn't say we weren't like teammates on that, but he took a
We
jab
were like-
at me.
Yeah.
But
Parang
Alam
ano,
mo,
parang real
alam mo,
life to one to
I don't feel like
Pag
I don't feel
mag-compete
like
kayo, hindi
associating
naman kayo.
myself.
Shaq and
Even
Kobe
though we
yung
had the same
dynamic
answer,
namin
I don't feel like associating myself with him.
Sila Spurs team cohesive. Kami Shaq and Kobe kami niyan.
So you butt heads, but
Yeah.
No.
strong
I guess.
personalities.
Pero champion, three-time champion pa rin.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the only times you'd probably get Manzano and Frankie J agreeing. But let's see. In this next topic, we shift gears to other Hall of Fame talents. They're not just Hall of Fame worthy because they've actually been enshrined to the 2021 Naismith uh, Basketball Hall of Fame. We're talking about the 4 NBA All Stars who have we watched growing up and are now officially Hall of Famers. So we have first Chris Bosh, we have Paul Pierce, we have Chris Webber, and Ben Wallace. So to all the fans out there and those maybe casuals who are listening, kung merong casual fans dito sa forecast, you probably know about these 4 players and why they are great. It's no question they're great. They're not as great as Kobe and Tim Duncan, but they're great. But this time, we kind of just want to ask among those 4 players, so Ben Wallace, Chris Bosh, um, Chris Webber, and who's the last one?
Exactly.
Who's the last?
Pierce, Ben Wallace,
Paul
Chris Bosh,
Pierce.
Chris Webber.
Paul Pierce, Chris Bosh, Ben Wallace, Chris Webber. Among those
Yeah.
4 players, the question this time is, who among those 4, if there were only 3 slots in the Hall of Fame and those are the last 4, who would you leave out? Who would you cut and say, sorry, Better luck next time. Maybe next year. Maybe in 5 years. Who knows? But you're not getting into the Hall of Fame yet. Or at all. Who knows? Depende sa argument ninyo.
Yep.
Who wants to start off this one?
Ikaw naman. Never
naman.
ka naman
Oo nga,
nagsawa. Ikaw naman.
oo
Ikaw
nga,
naman
Mark.
eh.
Yeah, naman ako eh. Ako na nag... Okay, I would, you know what? When we were talking about this earlier, I was having a difficult time because none of these players particularly like I didn't really like any of these players in particular or
Whoa.
like I mean hey we all have those, you
Honest.
know.
Honest.
But meh. And probably the most meh choice for me was Ben Wallace. Not the greatest scorer, obviously, averaged, I think, less than 10 points a game. Oh, for sure, I'm sure with that. Less than 10 points, but he did make up for it in the defensive end. And honestly, yes, he was like a 3-time, 4-time, all most defensive or ano yun? Defensive player of the year. I think it's the Skippy Spirits talking. But I just think it's overrated. Yes, he was a great talent in the early 2000s. He was undrafted. That's why a big part of his case was maybe he's one of the first few or the first, who knows, undrafted players to be in the Hall of Fame. Multiple time All Star, and hard worker, but no, okay, he blocked some shots and
Exactly.
he won a championship. But a lot of players block shots, but are they really the best of the best ever? He's a great defensive player, but for me, we already have players like those in the Hall of Fame. You have Dennis Rodman. You have, well, off the top, Dennis Rodman. Diba? I mean, if you try to compare him, maybe that's where he takes the inspiration. So I just think, okay, he's a great player, deserves his jersey retired in Detroit, but Hall of Fame, and after, and might I just say, after a class of Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, and Tim Duncan, you have these next four. Syempre, it's a bit of a drop off, but they're all great. But Ben Wallace, meh, I would
May,
be fine
may
with.
kulang ka sa sinabi mo, Mark. He blocked some shots. Tapos dapat kulang is for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, he had a
I
good
mean,
4 or 5 year run. He won a
Oh
championship.
wow, man.
But
You
you know,
guys.
you know what, guys? Defense is
You
overrated.
guys.
Coming from the Spurs fan.
Coming from a certain
You
no
guys.
defense. Yeah, he's a great defensive player, but
Yeah, Mark.
eh,
Yun nga eh. What a two-faced person coming from all the fundamentals, all that. And you bring up Dennis Rodman. Ben Wallace has more accolades than Dennis Rodman objectively, like more defensive player of the years. And it's not just the blocks. Right? He was rebounding leader and
Yep.
blocks leader.
Yep.
Okay, so that's two categories.
Okay. With that, might I add? Again, I guess we're teaming again, but he was rebounding at the rate
Wow.
of 15 rebounds per game, where no one was rebounding more than 10 rebounds a game. Okay, we focus on defensive, but the importance of rebounding, it's underrated, and Ben Wallace is like dominating in that end.
Yep. Plus, the novelty of the undrafted angle. Okay, maybe it's cheap, but there's glitter there for him.
And to
Just
JV's point of saying he blocked 2 to 3 times, he only blocked a lot of shots for 2 to 3 years. Bruh, he has the most blocks all time. 1,486 blocks.
Mark.
All time, bro.
okay.
What do you mean 2 to 3 years?
Ay, nako,
All
Mark.
right. I mean,
Wow.
for us, we're just gonna cut. We're gonna cut him out
Oo
of
nga.
tatlo lang yung
Three
upuan.
slots eh. Ano, sugay ko.
We're not saying he wasn't great. We're saying, if there were only 3 slots, hypothetical,
but
who would we cut?
But you shared some stats that weren't factual, so I had to kind of counter that.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but okay, it's Ben Wallace. Who are you picking? Wait, I think JV agrees with me. Do you agree with me? Okay, JV, go ahead.
For sure.
If you just add.
Yun na yan.
to mine.
Stop na natin din.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Ben Wallace, great player, but
Alright, fine.
Madami pa tayo.
will you really buy yourself a Ben Wallace jersey
Yo,
Eh.
I would.
I would, yeah, I would.
Okay, who are you
Out of
guys
the
gonna cut
four?
off then?
Sino
Out
next
of the
ako?
four. Out of the four. We're not
Alright.
saying he doesn't deserve it ever. But
Yeah,
maybe,
that's true. That's true.
if there were only three slots, who are we gonna cut? We're gonna say,
All right.
hey Ben Wallace, you were great, but you didn't score enough. You didn't score
Tatlong
enough.
jersey lang pwede bilhin ninyo.
Tatlo
Pwede
lang.
lang
Alright.
tatlong jersey.
Alright.
So, JB
Is it me?
agrees. And
Ako ba next?
underwhelming.
I'll go Frankie J. Go
Frankie J.
Alright. You know me, guys. You know me. You already know who I'm going with for this question, and it has to be Paul Pierce. I'm not saying it's the Skippy spirit that's talking. I'll just present some facts. I guess you guys don't know. Ben Wallace had more All NBA awards, All NBA team awards than Paul Pierce.
You're
He has
going with
five.
that. Okay.
He has
Fine,
five, and Paul
fine.
Pierce has four. And Paul Pierce wasn't really he was just really a trash talker. I mean, okay, if he fine he has a lot of all-star accolades, but did he really make an impact in the league? I mean, were people really
did.
scared of him? People were scared of him because he was with Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and probably even Rondo. And that's what made the Celtics 2008 Celtics team so good, was because of Garnett, Rondo, and Ray Allen. But before that, you wouldn't even hear of them. Like they were all, Celtics. Sorry to the Celtics fans of this pod, but Celtics are always bragging about their 17 NBA championships, but that never really happened in the past 20 years, right? Except for one. But Paul Pierce, once he got that championship, he felt like he was an elite status. But he wasn't really making any dent, against other NBA teams, or statistically probably he would have like 20 points. But I don't think he was he was the most. I don't think he was more deserving than any of the three that got the Hall of Fame approval for this batch. So again,
I,
again,
I have a question. Who was the I forgot. Who was the finals MVP when they won?
it was Paul Pierce. Okay, I'll give him that.
Oh, okay. I mean, then
A lot of players were finals. Andre Iguodala, finals MVP.
Ano
But
sinasabi mo?
But
Uh-oh.
he's not necessarily the best team. He's not really necessarily like a Hall of Famer type of guy. Probably Andre Iguodala will get the Hall of Fame nod in the near future. But Paul Pierce, among the four, I don't really think he's deserving to be part of that group. Right now, if you compare them, if you among the four people that we just mentioned. But I know, again, it's probably this one talking, or probably just my hate for Paul Pierce. But I really, right now, thinking about Chris Webber, Ben Wallace, and Chris Bosh, I don't really see Paul Pierce getting a nod. Maybe they gave it to him because of his representation of the Boston Celtics and how he meant to the Boston organization. But everyone hated him afterwards. He didn't even have a proper retirement. He announced his retirement, and there's this famous Draymond and Paul Pierce kind of like a trash talking in the sidelines that said, when Draymond says, nobody wants you, you're not Kobe. So I guess that speaks that speaks of his impact on the game. Basically nothing. No one.
I was just saying,
I haven't
kay
heard.
Paul
I haven't heard
Pierce,
anyone. I haven't heard anyone say, "I want to be like Paul Pierce when I grow up."
I was just saying kay Paul Pierce, pre-2008, he was averaging 25, 5, and 5. Like,
But
Oh, he
feeling na
was?
legit
Wow.
siya.
but there's a lot of NBA players doing that without their teams making to the playoffs. That's
True,
my point. So.
true.
A lot of
Fair point.
players. Bradley Beal is scoring 30 a game, and he didn't make the playoffs like last year.
Fine, may point.
Okay. All right. Interesting. We have Paul Pierce. So Ben Wallace and Paul Pierce so far. How about Zano? What do you
You
think?
know what?
Who are you gonna cut?
Okay. First of all, as a Laker fan, I do hate Paul Pierce. But I have to say, this time it's not Skippy Spirits who will talk, it's the truth. Like Paul Pierce, it's the truth
That's what
will
people.
talk.
That's what
All
drunk
right.
people say.
You know, and I'm a combine from the different things keywords that I heard. One is boring, vanilla, and two, all NBA counts. And of all the four players, do you know who has the least all NBA team count among the four?
I'm guessing
Who?
you'll tell us.
It's none other than the most, I don't know, he doesn't even really pop into mind. Chris Bosh has
Wait, sino
exactly
ulit? Sino ulit?
Who?
Chris Bosh has exactly one
And
all
this is
NBA
where
selection ever. And
this is
this
where
was
Frankie
where? This
J.
was where? Yeah, no,
Frankie
no.
J
This
has
was
left the
where.
chat.
You know by this was where was this? This was where
You
Toronto.
know.
It wasn't even in Miami. Oh my
Wow,
gosh! But
wow,
that.
All right, all
Wow.
right,
Jeez. Nice cap.
all right,
Nice
all
cap.
right.
Okay.
This is for CB.
Okay.
CB, if you're
Okay.
gonna listen to this, I'm gonna
Yo,
defend you with all my heart, man.
CB, you didn't even get one individual accolade. Okay, not counting all stars and all NBA teams. You never led the league in anything. You never got something special like rookie of the year. Okay, fine. You played with LeBron and Wade during your rookie year. Um, i- there's none. I mean, I checked Wikipedia, count the line items. You have the fewest line
Chris
items of
Bosh,
accomplishments and
Chris Bosh
awards
won the
among the
NBA
four. Among the
Sportsmanship
four.
Award. That's
Hey.
an individual award, and he is a sportsman.
fine.
He's a nice guy.
All right. If you're
He's
done
a
talking,
nice
I
guy.
want to speak in behalf
Okay.
of my guy,
You
CB4
know,
slash CB1.
Hall of Fame for me, it has to have that special narrative about it. Right? Ben Wallace, undrafted Detroit bad boy, blocks leader. Paul Pierce, ultra trash talker, everybody hates, but at least he did win some individual accolades and had multiple All NBAs. Chris Webber, he has that college thing going for him. He had the best peak though of all the four, I would say. He's probably the only one who got All NBA first team. I'm not sure about Paul Pierce, but Chris Webber got All NBA first team.
Si Paul
Chris
Pierce wala.
Bosh.
Just
Oh,
saying.
wala. Okay.
Ah,
Pero at least nakaano siya. Apat ba yan? Apat.
Apat.
Apat. Si Chris Bosh siya. Tapos, yun lang eh. So what's with Chris? Okay, I'm not gonna make shed light on the condition that he
All right.
had that
All
ended his
right.
career.
All right.
But what aside from that, there's nothing.
All right.
What should Chris
All
Bosh?
right.
in fair, siya
Alright.
pinakamaraming
Alright.
rings sa class.
Oh, nga eh.
Alright.
You know what? What's
There we
interesting?
go. There we go.
None of us chose the guy without the ring, Chris Webber.
That's true.
Actually,
Yeah, that's interesting.
actually,
I think I feel like I would have chosen him if I didn't really hate Paul Pierce that much. But all right, are you done? Are you done, Manzano? Are you done?
Go
Are you done?
go ahead, Frankie, because I don't know how
Alright,
you're gonna defend
let
him.
me
So I'm gonna give
let
you
me
time.
show you. All right. So CB, 11-time All-Star. All right. All right. He made one All NBA team, 2007. This is where your discrepancy is at. You mentioned that Mark's choice, which is Ben Wallace. Oh no,
And
sorry,
JVs,
Tim
and
Duncan.
JVs.
Sorry. I was going back to. Sorry, I think I had a lot. This is like half. Going
Oh,
back to the
kalahati
Tim
na.
Duncan.
Pabulong kanina.
Tim Duncan point he made. CB has a gold medal in the Olympics, right? CB.
That's
He
fine.
also has the
You know-
bronze for the 2004.
Oh, so he has
Okay,
two medals.
this is where my real defense takes place. This is also why I'm wearing the Toronto Raptors hat, even though I am a Miami Heat fan. CB, first player to achieve more than 10,000 points for Toronto, all-time leader in rebounds,
For Toronto.
all-time leader in blocks, all-time
When
leader
did that
in double-doubles.
When did that
And-
franchise start, man? That's the youngest
Bro.
franchise aside from Charlotte
Bro.
or something.
Bro, who are the players in Toronto right now? We had DeMar DeRozan. We've already had Vince Carter. These players are,
How many years did they play in Toronto? Okay, fine.
even more than CB.
Pero,
DeMar
okay.
DeRozan.
Pero-
And DeMar
DeMar,
DeRozan
yes,
is a
but-
scorer. and he didn't surpass
DeMar's
Chris
ain't gonna
Bosh.
rebound.
And the fact that Toronto is in a different country makes him an international player, which is also
You know, doon siya sa international wing ng Hall of Fame.
Okay.
exactly no. So this is
Okay.
all right. Chris Bosh is the the short time he played for Toronto. I think like 7 years or 8 years. He already achieved this much for an NBA team. So I think that's a main reason of why he is more deserving. He's more deserving than you think.
Okay, so Chris Bosh had a more distinguished career than Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sucks, bro.
Okay.
No bias.
So I
bias.
wonder
He has,
wonder
he
how
has one
how
more
much
championship more than Paul Pierce.
he does.
Easy. He
He
does.
does. Chris Webber has none, but he's just in the corner. He has his spot. He's just there. All right. That's gonna do it. We'll wrap this thing up for this episode of the Forecast PH, talking about some of our childhood idols, our favorite players growing up, not so favorite players growing up in the early 2000s to late 2000s. So let us know what you thought of this episode. Reach out to us, the Forecast PH, on all our socials. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And please do follow Skippy Spirits as well, the sponsor of this episode, our first ever sponsor. Nakaiyak, but finally we made it. Skippy
Made it.
Spirits. Skippy's underscore spirits get squiffy with these very delicious cocktails. It's not even dinner time and we're already buzzed. I don't know about you guys.
I just half chugged a bottle. Right
Yun.
in front of everyone.
Yun.
And as a special treat for everyone listening to this, you can follow Skippy Spirits and the Forecast PH on Instagram and reach out to Skippy Spirits and just mention that you listened to this episode and they might just have a special treat for you. All right. So, in behalf of the Real Deal JV, the back-to-back-to-back Rookie of the Year Frankie J, and his unlikely teammate, the Human Internet Show, teammate for one question only. Manzano, this has
Kobe
been your
Chef.
PR boy next door. Mark, we will. Yeah, next alcohol. We I didn't know if I was gonna say will. We will see you when we see you.
Peace.
Hey, easy better than Paul Pierce.